like he's going to be playing against Reggie Kimmich. Reggie made the top 8 of the Saturday Open playing red-green aggro. He eventually lost in the top 8 there to Bryce Felt's black-green rock deck. But both players 2-0, and we're going to see one of them advancing to 3-0 here.
All right, Jonathan Job even has the play, so he's looking to just play out a nice curve of creatures and not fall too far behind, eventually just using cards like Advent of the Worm or Archangel of Thune to trump Reggie's game plan.
All right, so both players starting out on forests. Jonathan Joe with the first creature of the game, he will play Scavenging Ooze. No mana creature for Reggie, but his second play, he'll have red mana with Rootbound Crag, and he makes a Strangleroot Geist.
So what do you think about playing Strangleroot Geist there instead of Mortarsing the Scavenging Ooze?
Well, I think this pushes more damage. And we know right now that Jonathan's... I mean, it seems unlikely that Jonathan would block there, so at least he's pushing damage. What that would say to me is that he... I think this is fine. He can mortars at next turn if he wants to. It's really unlikely that the Ooze will get out of Mortar's range, so it's possible that this just pushes more damage.
Now, I wonder if... Yeah, it looks like Jonathan doesn't have another land. He's got a fistful of great cards like Advent of the Worm, Tristani, a few Fiend Hunters, but he doesn't have the mana to actually play anything.
Yeah, so yeah, Jonathan played a third land there and actually just passed back the turn. So kind of like you said, but those cards, so Tristani, Advent of the Worm, just really fantastic in this matchup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I wonder here is, does Reggie mortars the Scavenging Ooze before attacking? Because in the event of, well, I guess it doesn't matter now.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and make the swing, and then post-combat mortars the Scavenging Ooze. So what would have been the advantage to pre-combat mortarsing there?
I mean, Jonathan's a mana short of being able to go Wolfir Silverheart into and activate the Scavenging Ooze, but in theory, if there's something like a Celestial Flare or any flash creature, but realistically, Jonathan was probably short on mana to be able to do anything there.
All right, so Jonathan does not hit his fourth land exactly. He plays Avacyn's Pilgrim, so that will give him 4 mana for next turn, and passes back to Reggie. Reggie has his Strangleroot Geist and Season Opening here to make Hellrider, swings both Hellrider and Strangleroot Geist, pushing in 2 damage on the attack and possibly 5 more.
Yeah, so this much, this much aggression, definitely what Reggie needs in order to be able to try to capitalize on Jonathan stumbling on mana. However, this is where the party is over.
Yeah, so Jonathan drops to 9, and so it sounds like you're looking for a Tristani play here.
Or Advent of the Worm. You have to ask yourself, do you think that your opponent might have... No, I still just like Tristani. Play the Advent next turn.
It looks like he has a pair of Fiend Hunters, a pair of Advent of the Worms, and a Tristani right now.
Yeah, actually, I don't know, though, because if you have the Advent of the Worm, it's a real nice way to... So I guess he wants to just prevent any amount of damage he can.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and cast... Of all those spells, he chose Fiend Hunter to Fiend Hunt the Hellrider, then passes back.
So he's playing around Thundermaw Hellkite. If he would have played either Tristani or Advent of the Worm, he would die to a Thundermaw Hellkite.
All right. So in this situation, if there's a Thundermaw, he can then Fiend Hunt the next Thundermaw and presumably be in an okay spot.
Yep. At least not dead to the board,
Yeah. And speaking of Thundermaw, it does look like Reggie has the Thundermaw in his hand. Do not know if he has the 5th land. We'll find out here. So right now, actually, the Fiend Hunter doing a pretty good job of keeping Strangleroot Geist from attacking.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good play by Jonathan. And it looks like Reggie does have the land.
Yeah, he has actually both mountain and a forest.
So just excellent play by Jonathan Job, or perhaps just seeing the right play. And it's a little early in the morning for us commentators in the peanut gallery.
All right, so 5th land is the 3rd forest for Reggie Kimmich. Going to go ahead and tap 4 mana and choosing Hellrider. So this is the 2nd Hellrider. The first one under the Fiend Hunter is going to go ahead and attack with Strangleroot Geist and Hellrider. That deals 2 more damage, puts Job to 7, and then puts him down to 4 after the Fiend Hunter blocks the Strangleroot Geist.
Yeah, which means the Thundermaw Hellkite's potentially lethal. Yeah, I think that stumbling for a turn is going to end up being fatal for Jonathan.
Yeah, it looks like so. Jonathan, down to 4 life at the moment. It's like the Tristani's going to gain life, but the question is whether he'll ever survive to that point.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, if Reggie actually has a Thundermaw Hellkite, then we're looking at game 2.
All right, so we see in his hand a Smiter, a pair of Advent of the Worms, and a Tristani, and a Fiend Hunter. So right now, still only being able to play 1 spell per turn. Jonathan kind of contemplating which one he wants to go for here. Leaving the Hellrider on the table has got to be pretty risky for him.
The problem is that if he Fiend Hunters the Hellrider, he's going to have to chump block, or he's going to lose one of his Fiend Hunters to the Strangleroot
Yeah, I mean,
unless he wants to drop to 1.
Right. And so the danger, the red-green aggro deck, though, as we pointed out, doesn't actually have that much burn, right? So I don't know if one. I mean, 1 is obviously a pretty unsafe life total to be at.
But even playing Tristani or Evan in the Worm involves taking a bunch of damage and losing a Fiend Hunter anyway.
Right.
So perhaps you just have to Fiend Hunter the Hellrider and take the Geist hit, drop to 1, and hope he doesn't have Thundermaw.
He looks like he shuffles Tristani to the front of his hand after contemplation, deciding between Fiend Hunter and Tristani, and it's going to be Tristani.
He does. So he is committing to trumping with his Fiend Hunter.
And that's going to give his opponent
He
a
has
pair
the
of Hell
Thundermaw.
Riders. Yeah, Reggie just flashes the Thundermaw Hellkite, and the players move on to game 2.
Man, what a difference stumbling, even for a turn, can make against these Dragon Master Red Green decks.
They're just brutally efficient. You know, they seem to punish any stumble really, really heavily. As we saw right there, you know, Jonathan had a great opener where he was on the play. He had a Tristani with Advent of the Worms. You know, something that I think that's an engine that if he gets going, Reggie's pretty unable to deal with, just populating that worm every turn.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you just get Tristani and start getting the life, you're going to be in real good shape. But I do think that we're going to find that the definition of a good draw for Jonathan is a good mana draw, which includes a mana elf. You know.
So it's not necessarily which creatures he has, as long as he just gets to them quickly. So maybe it's a Tristani, maybe it's an Archangel, maybe it's just Smiters, but what's important is that he has the mana to get to them.
Exactly, because I mean, some of them are even bigger than others, but most of them are going to be big enough to do the job. What he needs is a good mix of mana, and he needs to have the land to cast the spells and one mana accelerator, either Arbor Elf or Avacyn Pilgrim.
So I want to go ahead and look at their sideboards a bit. Both of these players played these decks yesterday in our Open. Reggie Kimmich stayed with almost the exact same Hunt Master, Dragon Master Red-Green deck. The only difference he made is instead of playing Chandra Pyromancer Masters, he's playing 2 Zealous Conscripts. Presumably, what I would think a nod to the mirror match there.
Yeah, to be sure.
But on Jonathan's side, he's actually switched up almost his entire sideboard.
Yeah, he's got Nevermore, Witchstalker, let's see here. Yeah, he swapped his Wolfear Avengers for Witchstalkers, and he swapped his. Oh, he's got room for. He made room for more. Or he cut the Garuks and replaced them with Celestial Flare and Nevermore.
And he actually has a 3rd Tristani now, which may be also a nod to Red Green. I know a lot of these players were very aware that Red Green really dominated the top tables yesterday.
Yep.
So boarding in here, I mean, you have to assume he's going to play more Tristanis, right?
Yeah, for sure he'll board in the other Tristani.
But what else on the board? I think the Wolfear Avenger to Witchstalker swap is really interesting. I'm not sure if either of those come in this matchup.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Wolfear Avenger would be better, but neither is good enough. I think we're looking more like at possibly a Fiend Hunter and the 2 Celestial Flares. And depending on how he wants to play the matchup, Celestia Charm is also an option, hitting not only Thundermaw Hellkite, but also anybody that happens to get Gorklan Rampagered.
Right, so it takes care of, Gorklan Rampager.
To say nothing of occasionally, surprise blocking, like a Scavenging Ooze on turn 2 or something.
So it sounds like the name of the game here for Jonathan is going to be just to survive until he can start hitting his 4s and 5s.
Yeah, that's where the real game begins for him. I mean, obviously, Voice of Resurgence, Luxon, Smiter are fantastic plays for the early game as well, but really he needs an elf and then to get up to 4 as fast as possible.
All right.
I think as long as he starts playing forecast and cost spells on turn 3, he's in real good shape.
So that's kind of like playing green, facing green-red at their own game. We saw in the finals actually this morning in the green-red mirrors, the mana elves were really kind of essential to getting a good draw. One player would just be able to get ahead off the mana creature. It kind of seems like it's the same thing going on here, even though it's not actually a mirror match.
Yeah, once again, I mean, so many decks in Standard are all just the same deck, and these decks are very, very similar. The red deck has a more aggressive bent, the white deck is a little bit bigger, but at the end of the day, you're mostly just playing the most efficient cards you can, just spending your mana as efficiently as possible, and creating a board presence.
All right, so then we'll see Jonathan on the play. If both players hit their mana creatures, that favors Jonathan, though, because he's playing the white cards, right?
Yeah, I mean, being a little bit bigger is often just better than being a little bit faster in the head-to-head. And here, a number of the cards, like Jonathan's cards, can both attack and defend, whereas a lot of Reggie's cards, they don't really work right if you're not using them for offense, and they're going to get brick-walled by slightly bigger creatures.
So Reggie has to attack pretty much regardless of the hand. He has to play it aggressively, whereas Jonathan has a lot more flexibility with how he wants to play the cards.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the option of trying to go over the top with things like Thundermaw or stacking some Hell Riders, but for the most part, he's got to be very, very aggressive because the longer the game goes, the more it favors Jonathan, who does take a mulligan.
Yeah, pretty quick one at that. And looks like Reggie is keeping a full 7. So is it fair, when we were talking about,
Yes, it's
matchups. Sorry, is it fair to say when we were talking about matchups that a green-red aggro opponent doesn't want to see? We said Archangel aggro was really close to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess this is one of the decks that you don't want to see. You don't want to see, I don't think you really want to see like a Reanimator deck. And I understand blue-white is not the best matchup in the world for you, but it's still pretty close. But it's still early on. It's hard to know for sure which decks have the most edge against red green. I know that on paper, it sure looks good to be the green-white deck, but here we see Jonathan down a game, and with a mulligan.
So you actually mentioned
challenging.
You mentioned Reanimator. So Junk Reanimator, we actually saw no copies of it yesterday throughout the tournament, and it doesn't look like we're seeing any of it today. Certainly it's a reaction to Scavenging Ooze.
Absolutely. I wonder how much the Reanimator decks have to even be set up like Reanimator decks versus how much do they perhaps just sometimes have a sub-theme involving that.
Yeah, they're becoming more just like green-white-black mid-range decks.
Yeah. Scavenging Ooze has really demolished the ability for people to play graveyard-based strategies.
All right, so Jonathan starts out on a turn 1 Sun Petal Grove. Does not have the mana creature, does follow it up with a Plains, no play, passes back. It does look like he has both Tristani and Advent of the Worm again.
He's a little light on mana again, though, right?
Right, so it's going to be that, can he get to his 4 and 5 drops? If he can, he should be fine once again.
Yep.
And Reggie, once again, with the first creature, this is going to be a Strangleroot Geist, knocks Jonathan down to 18. So can he hit the lands? He's drawn
Does not.
Celestia Charm, but is stuck on 2.
Yep. Definitely a tough way to go. He's got about one more turn before things just start sliding so far out of control.
Yeah, it looks like he does have a pair of Fiend Hunters, so that might do some work to slow down Reggie's draws. If he, if he hits that 3rd land, but maybe doesn't get the 4th one right away.
Tough thing is, all Reggie's creatures have haste.
Right, so Reggie makes a Flint Hoof 4, swings for 5. Jonathan does have the possibility to play Celestia Charm, but even any blocks with that card seem a little weak right now.
Yeah, I still think you play it, because what you need to do is next turn Fiend Hunter the Boar, and then have be able to threaten so that your Charm can eventually block the 3/2 Geist after the Fiend Hunter eats the first half of it.
Yeah, it also just seems like if he doesn't Charm there, it's like, when's the next window where he'll be able to cast that Celestia Charm?
Yeah.
It's probably like turn 7 or something.
Yeah.
So we do see there Jonathan does hit his 3rd land as a Sun Petal Grove. He plays Fiend Hunter and Fiend Hunts the Flint Hoof 4, leaving Reggie with just a Strangleroot Geist at the moment.
And Reggie is a little flooded out, right? Like he's got some more gas, but if Jonathan can weather the storm, Mana Screw beats Mana Flood.
Yeah, we've seen both a Scavenging Ooze and a Mizzium Mortar still left in Reggie's hand. So that'll go a fair amount, just he can give the Flint Hoof 4 haste and swing a 5 again.
If you want to sign up for that, come see me up here at the side event stage. It's just $30 for
I think that's what we're gonna see. So Mortars on the Fiend Hunter brings back Flint Hoof 4. Reggie gives it haste, swings 5, puts Jonathan Job down to 8 life. So Jonathan's gonna pretty much need to hit the 4th land, get Tristani online almost immediately.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of time for dilly-dallying.
And it's a Celestia Charm. So he's going to go ahead. No 4th land. Instead, he will re-Fiend Hunter that Flint Hoof 4, pass the turn back.
Still would love to have that 2/2 Knight in play.
Certainly. So we see another land drawn for Reggie. So that's that land flood you're talking about.
Yep. How many more threats does he actually have? I mean, that's 3 more land. And then what's the red card?
He has a Scavenging Ooze. I'm not sure on what the red card is, but it looks like 3 Scavenging Ooze, 3 lands, and a Zealous Conscripts is the last card.
Interesting. So he's very, very close.
Yeah, the conscripts it's 6 damage cast this turn.
Yeah, but I think you gotta wait. Like, if you got any other good plays, if you have any other passable plays.
Well, he has the Scavenging Ooze as a possible.
Yeah,
play.
see, yeah, I would start with the Scavenging Ooze thing because that Zealous Conscript is gonna be dynamite.
So see here, he's deciding between the Ooze and the conscripts. So one option is to drop Jonathan Job down to 2, and the other option, and he's gonna go ahead and pick that one. So stealing Fiend Hunter and swinging 6. It does put Jonathan to 2, but if Jonathan is able to make a Tristani here, he actually will have Reggie's board taken care of at least for a turn.
Yep.
He doesn't hit the land though, he hits Voice of Resurgence instead.
Still a blocker that he needs. Jonathan definitely up against the wall, but these green-white decks capable of gaining so much life, he could realistically, you know, climb out of it in a couple turns if Reggie doesn't finish him off.
Yeah, he does have that. I think one of the scary things is there's so many top decks that are really good for Reggie right now. Any haste creature pretty much seals the deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those spots where it's not even a matter of just which ones are the best. There's just 25 cards that kill him immediately.
Right.
But if as long as he doesn't draw those,
about half the deck. So Reggie once again with, as we've seen, just has it played out in game 1, does have the Tristani, does have the Advent of the Worm to go with it, but not able to get them online in time to deal with the red-green aggro deck. So he makes Voice of Resurgence with 1 mana up, passes, and now he has to hope. Reggie draws, and we will see.
I assume it's another green creature that does not have haste.
Yeah, it does look like it's a green card, and unless it's Flint of 4, it's not going to have haste.
Could be Stranglergeist. Would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, any haster just kills him right now.
Yeah, I think Scavenging Ooze is probably the card he drew.
So a second Ooze.
Could be an Arbor Elf or something. Yeah, you know. Like
Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Elvish Mystic.
Elvish Mystic, yeah. So we will see here.
Not the worst position for Jonathan Job, considering he's at 2 life against a deck full of haste
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah, he's alive, which, as you know, there were a lot of situations where that wouldn't be the case right now.
Yeah. And Reggie can attack. He does make progress.
So Jonathan makes really the only blocks he can make here. He's going to put the Fiend Hunter on the Stranglegeist, put Voice of Resurgence on the Zealous Conscripts. That will make the Stranglegeist undied with 3/2. Jonathan gets a Star Elemental. And now we see a 6th land from Reggie and an Elvish Mystic. That looks like it was the draw. And what
The Scavenging
presumed
Ooze.
to be a Scavenging Ooze. That'll pass the turn back. There are currently 2 creatures in the graveyard for Scavenging Ooze, so it'll be a 4/4 on the next attack.
Yep. Pretty solid board.
Yeah, to be fair though, Jonathan's not dead here if he plays a 3rd blocker, because he can let the Elvish Mystic through. So it's not, he draws, it's a Scavenging Ooze for the turn, still does not hit the 4th land.
Now, does he have another Fiend Hunter?
He's used the first Fiend Hunter. There is a white card at the back of his hand. I believe that white card is Archangel of Thune though, so I don't think he has another Fiend Hunter.
Yep. And this one's tough because you really got to try to arrange this in such a way so that you don't lose your Fiend Hunter, where
Right.
your work is becoming undone.
Yeah, with no sweeper at this point, if he has to straight chump with the Fiend Hunter, I don't think a Tristani will be enough to stabilize the board after that.
No, I think if you're chumping with the Fiend Hunter, you're already fighting a losing battle. Now, you can have the let's see.
Yeah, is there a way for him to get to
No,
this?
I
He
think you're gonna
has-
have to chump with the Fiend Hunter this turn.
Yeah, well, because there's going to be 4 attackers, right? So he has to block 3 of them. He can only make 1 creature this turn. So everybody's going to be on blocking duty, and it looks like every creature other than Elvish Mystic is going to kill the Fiend Hunter, and Mystic has to be the one he lets through.
Yep.
So yeah, Fiend Hunter is on chump block duty.
There is, I mean, if you play Scavenging Ooze, at least Reggie's Scavenging Ooze only ends up a 3/3. Right? Or
Well,
how much mana does he have?
He has 3 green up, so if he
Oh,
casts
yeah, he's got
Scavenging
plenty of
Ooze,
mana.
then in response, Reggie will eat, which
Yeah.
you see right now, eats both graveyards. Ooze moves up to a 4/4. And looks like Jonathan has a Celeste. He's going to go with Selesnya Charm as the surprise blocker.
Now, the Charm will be able to block the Geist, the 3/3 Elemental can block the Conscript, and the Fiend Hunter can chump the 4/4 Scavenging Ooze. He'll be at 1 life, and he'll be facing down an extremely large Scavenging Ooze, but his hope is that he Selesnya Charms the Scavenging Ooze and plays his own Scavenging Ooze in order to hold back the Elvish Mystic.
Right.
And that's assuming he draws a land.
Well, if he draws land, he could play that, and there's also the chance that if Reggie, just makes the sound play and continues to pump his Scavenging Ooze, he could get lucky and actually be able to exile it with a Selesnya Charm.
Oh, yeah, that's what... Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But it's also just, I think the more likely scenario, Reggie's going to see the angle, not pump his Scavenging Ooze. He could always pump it later.
Well, Reggie will also have a Flint of 4 on the next attack.
Yeah, so this is going to be...
It's going to be a rough spot. Jonathan's going to drop to 1 on the block here. So he makes a 2/2 Knight. Looks like he's going to make all the blocks he's supposed to make here, so just as you were saying.
Players, we still have about 10
How is the
minutes
Duke
to sign up
a
for the
white
two-headed
card?
giant event.
Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
he's a knight. He's a knight in shining armor.
He is-
He's just a good guy.
He is a white knight, but my god, does he play a lot of Jund.
Swiss rounds.
All right, so we see, as you said, the Knight on the Sternberg Geist. That'll be a trade. The Elemental on the Zealous Conscripts. That will be a trade. Fiend Hunter on Scavenging Ooze. Not as much of a trade. Elvish Mystic gets in for 1. Drops Jonathan Job down to 1 life. So now with 3 creatures, Jonathan can't take any more damage. So even that 4th land actually isn't going to help him.
No, I think... No, does he have a... He doesn't have a Mana Elf in his hand.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Nope, he has an Advent, a Tristani, a Selesnya Charm, an Archangel of Thune, and actually another creature for Reggie Kimmich. That's going to be an Arbor Elf, which is pretty relevant right now. It's lethal just like every other creature. And there's the 4th land.
The mockery of it all.
Yes. Right on time.
Straight up Colin mockery.
Yeah.
Alright, well, it means that Red-Green, contesting the idea that it is countered by Green-White Archangel aggro, Reggie Kimmich defeating Jonathan Job 2-0, advancing to 3-0 here in round 3 of the Sunday portion, or the Sunday event for the Salt Lake City Double Standard Weekend. I think we're going to jump over to another match in a moment.
Yeah, so I think once again, Jonathan having a great plan for dealing with red-green aggro, just a little bit of stumbles that never was put into action, and red-green is just a really punishing deck for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both games we saw Jonathan stumble just slightly, and these red-green decks are merciless. If you miss a single turn, it's not even just that they hit so fast, it's that they hit so hard.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, all the creatures